Before we delve into the doctors' communities, in the actual classroom, I would then ask this questionnaire. The students have eye clickers, and so we do this as an anonymous questionnaire just to see some of the different ideas, some of the different broader communities that are out there. And so not only will we see, did you pick some of these as your communities? Would you pick some of these as the communities you belong to? And what about the doctor and some of his communities? So I'm just going to briefly go through these. You can kind of mentally think about which of these you fit in on each question. So first question, I'm male, female, third gender, woman, girl, man, or boy. Again, most people at the college level would either pick A or C. But was that one of the first things when I asked you, what community do you belong to? Did you think about your gender? Student, professor, did you think about your school life, the community of the school, FSCJ, and what role you play within that? What about your regional identity? If you're from the United States, often that is a part of who we are, whether you're from the South, North, New England, Midwest, West. I know there's people who move around a lot, so they really don't have that same regional identity. But for some people, regional identity is an important aspect, and that is part of the community they belong to. They grew up in the South, they've lived their life in the South, they consider themselves Southerners, etc. Age group. Did you think to mention your community is a like-minded group of people around your same age? For teenagers, it's definitely a large community for them, is their peers. Once we get out of college, our peer groups change. I'm in my 40s. I don't really have groups of friends who are in their 20s, but I have a few who are at the end of their 30s, few in their 40s, few in their 50s. So as we get older, our peer group does expand, but the community when I was a teenager was definitely my fellow teenagers. Did you think to put your sexual orientation? Do you belong to community groups that deal with gay issues, bisexual issues, or do you consider yourself straight and not the same type of community because this is a minority versus majority issue as well? What about your marital status? Did you put that as your community? Very quickly when we identify ourselves in life, we often say that whether we're single, married, divorced, widowed, and that automatically puts us within a community. It may not be a community that we hang out with every day, but why would we designate a woman a widow if we're not adding a lot more to her social identity by that fact? Because as soon as we say that, we then realize that she has been married, she probably has kids. We don't put any negative implications into her singleness, and so there's a whole bundle of ideas socially that go along with someone who's saying they're widowed versus they're divorced, and so that is a type of social community that we do put together. If you're not from the United States, then maybe your community is a subgroup of a minority community. The type of personality you have could be part of it. And again, I'm just clicking through some of the different questions that I asked to see if these were things that people would have thought about when I asked, what communities do you belong to? Do you think you belong to a community with an accent, without an accent, or with a little bit of an accent? And in the classroom, surprisingly, almost all my students chose B. And this one actually has absolutely a correct answer, and it's A. Every single one of us has an accent. None of us speak quote-unquote normal, because we all have different ways we pronounce different words from where we're from. Our English is accented, different from someone in another part of the country. So when you're with a group of like-minded people who all speak the same, you may feel that you're without an accent, and that's your community. But We all tend to have, we all, not tend, we all, linguistically speaking, all have an accent. This is another common way that we identify ourselves, not only individually, personally, identity, but we put into our social identity, is the role of parent. Sometimes with our family members, when we claim our family as our community, then the role within the community, brother, sister, only child. So those are just some different ideas that lead us to thinking about community in a much larger way than you may have originally envisioned it.